Imagine standing before massive stone structures older than the pyramids, built with such precision that modern engineers still scratch their heads. These aren't just ancient ruins, they're puzzles carved in limestone, left behind by a civilization so advanced, their secrets have outlasted millennia. Welcome to the megalithic temples of Malta, where every stone tells a story and every corridor hides a mystery. These aren't your typical archaeological sites. We're talking about temples so perfectly aligned with the stars, they could have been ancient observatories, stones weighing as much as 50 cars, moved without wheels or metal tools. And carvings so intricate, they whisper of rituals we can barely comprehend. Who built these marvels? How did they achieve such impossible feats? And why did they vanish without a trace? From the towering Ġgantija above Ġgantija Temples to the echoing chambers of the Hypogeum, Malta's megaliths defy logic at every turn. Over the next 30 sites, we'll uncover the theories, the legends, and the downright spine-tingling discoveries that make these structures one of history's greatest enigmas. Stick around, because by the end, you'll question everything you thought you knew about the ancient world. Now, let's step into the shadows of the Ġgantija above Ġgantija Temples, where time itself seems to bend. These aren't just old stones, they're the oldest free-standing structures on Earth, built 1,000 years before the Great Pyramid of Giza even broke ground. Picture this: towering limestone blocks, some heavier than 50 tons, stacked with such precision that even a credit card can't slip between them. How did Neolithic builders without metal tools or wheels move these colossal slabs? Local legends whisper of giants, hence the name Ġgantija above Ġgantija, meaning giant's tower. But the truth might be even more fascinating. The temple's design is a masterclass in ancient engineering. Curved walls, intricate altars, and a layout that mirrors the cycles of life and death. Some researchers believe the temples were aligned with celestial events, turning them into stone calendars. Others point to the mysterious libation holes, where offerings may have been poured into the earth. But here's the real head-scratcher. The builders left no written records, no blueprints, just these silent, awe-inspiring monuments. Were they temples, observatories, or something we haven't even imagined yet? One thing's certain: the Ġgantija above Ġgantija Temples refuse to give up their secrets easily. But the mysteries don't end there. Just a short journey from Ġgantija above Ġgantija, another ancient wonder waits: Ħaġar Qim, a temple that seems to whisper secrets of the stars. Unlike any other structure on Malta, this temple is precisely aligned with the summer solstice. When the sun rises on the longest day of the year, its light pierces through a carefully placed doorway, illuminating a sacred stone inside. Was this a Neolithic calendar, a way to mark time, or something deeper? A bridge between earth and sky? Then there are the so-called oracle holes, small, funnel-shaped openings in the walls. Some believe these were used for ritual communication, where voices from hidden chambers would echo as if speaking from another world. Others think they channeled offerings, grain, oil, or even whispers to the gods. But perhaps the most puzzling finds here are the fat lady statues, rounded figures that defy modern beauty standards. Were they symbols of fertility, goddesses of abundance, or guardians of the temple? Their meaning remains as enigmatic as the temple itself, and let's not overlook the architecture. The southern section of Ħaġar Qim boasts a curved facade unlike anything else in Malta's megalithic repertoire. Some stones are so finely shaped they seem to flow like liquid stone. Yet erosion has taken its toll: soft globigerina limestone crumbling under centuries of wind and salt. It begs the question, how much of this temple's original grandeur have we lost? One thing's certain: Ħaġar Qim doesn't just defy logic. It invites us to rethink what we know about the people who built it. Now, let's venture further into Malta's ancient mysteries with the Mnajdra complex, a site that takes celestial alignment to another level. Nestled in a secluded valley near the cliffs, this temple feels like a hidden observatory carved by Neolithic stargazers. The lower temple here is the real showstopper. Its doorway frames the sunrise with uncanny precision during the equinoxes and solstices. On the spring and autumn equinox, sunlight slices straight through the entrance, striking a central marker. During the summer and winter solstices, the light hugs the edges of massive stone slabs, creating a natural calendar etched in stone. But here's the puzzle: was this meticulous alignment deliberate or just a happy accident? Some archaeologists argue the builders had advanced knowledge of astronomy, plotting these angles over generations. Others counter that with enough trial and error, anyone could have stumbled upon these patterns. Yet, the sheer consistency across Mnajdra's design makes coincidence seem unlikely. And then there's the acoustics. Stand in the right spot, and your voice carries in strange, echoing waves, almost as if the temple itself amplifies sound. Combine that with its isolated location, and it's easy to imagine rituals here under the stars, voices rising to meet the heavens. Whether a sacred clock or a gateway to the cosmos, Mnajdra doesn't just mark time. It challenges us to listen to the whispers of a civilization long gone. Moving from the celestial precision of Mnajdra, we now step into the Tarxien Temples, where artistry and ritual intertwine in ways that still baffle researchers. This sprawling complex is a masterpiece of Neolithic craftsmanship, adorned with intricate spiral carvings that seem to pulse with ancient symbolism. Some believe these spirals represent life cycles or cosmic energy, while others think they might have served as maps for rituals, but the real jaw-dropper here. The fragments of a colossal statue once towering over the site. Though only the lower half survives, experts estimate it stood nearly 3 meters tall, likely depicting a deity or a revered ancestor. Then there's the altar, a structure riddled with hidden niches and grooves. Archaeologists found animal bones nearby, sparking theories about sacrificial ceremonies. Were these offerings to the gods or communal feasts to honor the dead? The debate rages on. But Tarxien's mysteries don't end there. The 20th century restoration efforts, while well-intentioned, have stirred controversy. Some argue that reconstructions, like the concrete slabs added to stabilize the walls, blurred the line between preservation and reinterpretation. Others counter that without these interventions, the temples might have crumbled entirely. One thing's certain: Tarxien's blend of artistry, ritual, and modern dilemmas makes it a microcosm of Malta's megalithic enigma. Every carving, every bone fragment whispers a question: what really unfolded in these sacred halls? Now, let's turn our attention to a site that doesn't get the spotlight it deserves: the Skorba Temples. While not as grand as Ġgantija above Ġgantija or as intricate as Tarxien, Skorba holds a quiet, crucial key to unlocking Malta's megalithic timeline. What makes this site stand out? Its layers. Archaeologists found something extraordinary beneath the temple ruins, the remnants of even older structures, some dating back to Malta's earliest farming communities. This makes Skorba a time capsule, offering rare glimpses into how temple building evolved over centuries. One of the most striking features here is the red ochre floors. These vividly colored surfaces, stained with natural pigments, suggest rituals or ceremonies we can only guess at. Were they symbolic of life, blood, or something entirely different? The mystery deepens when you realize Skorba has far fewer artifacts than other temples. No piles of animal bones, no hordes of figurines, just silence. Some researchers think this absence hints at a purely spiritual use, a place where physical offerings were less important than the act of worship itself. But Skorba's greatest contribution might be its role in dating Malta's prehistoric phases. The pottery fragments found here helped archaeologists piece together the island's cultural timeline, linking the temples to broader Mediterranean traditions. It's a reminder that sometimes the most unassuming sites hold the answers to the biggest questions. So while Skorba may lack the drama of its more famous neighbors, its whispers are just as vital to the story of Malta's ancient past. Now, stepping back even further in time, we arrive at the Ħaġar Temples, Malta's quieter, older siblings to the more famous megalithic giants. These twin temples may be smaller in scale, but they pack a punch when it comes to historical significance. Dating back to around 3600 BCE, they're among the oldest on the islands, predating even Ġgantija by centuries. What's fascinating here isn't just their age, but the clues they offer about how Malta's temple building tradition began. One of the most intriguing discoveries at Ħaġar is the unusual pottery found scattered around the site. Unlike the typical designs seen in later temples, these fragments feature bold, almost geometric patterns, hinting at a distinct cultural phase. Some archaeologists believe these temples served as prototypes, a kind of architectural experiment that later builders refined into the grand structures we know today. The layout here is simpler, with fewer chambers, but you can already see the beginnings of the curved walls and central corridors that would become hallmarks of Malta's megalithic style. Then there's the showstopper, a rare miniature temple model carved from limestone, unearthed at Ħaġar. This tiny replica, no larger than a modern-day tablet, is the only one of its kind ever found in Malta. Was it a builder's guide, a votive offering, or a teaching tool for apprentices? No one knows for sure, but it's a tantalizing glimpse into the minds of the people who envisioned these sacred spaces. While Ħaġar might not have the grandeur of its successors, it's a vital piece of the puzzle, proof that every monumental achievement starts with a humble beginning. Moving from the quiet whispers of Ħaġar, we now face the sobering story of the Tarxien Temples, a site where time and progress have left only fragments of what was once a sacred complex. Unlike Malta's better-preserved megaliths, the Tarxien Temples stand as a stark reminder of how much has been lost to history. Originally, there were 3 temples here, but today, only scattered ruins of Tarxien 3 remain, the others swallowed by the expansion of nearby docks and urban sprawl. Among the few surviving artifacts are the so-called phallic stones, mysterious carved blocks that have fueled debates for decades. Their explicit shapes led early archaeologists to link them to fertility rituals, a theory supported by similar finds at other Mediterranean sites. But with so much of Tarxien destroyed, we're left guessing, were these objects part of ceremonies, symbols of power, or even architectural markers? The answers may lie buried under modern concrete. The tragedy of Tarxien isn't just about physical destruction. It's about the untold stories, the rituals, the daily lives, the beliefs that vanished with the temples. Urban development in the 19th and 20th centuries erased layers of history before proper excavations could begin. Yet, even in their reduced state, these ruins hint at a once thriving spiritual hub, where the line between the sacred and the everyday blurred. The Tarxien Temples challenge us to wonder, how many other secrets of Malta's past are hidden, waiting beneath our feet? Now, let's turn our attention to a site that stands apart from the rest, Qim Mnajdra. Unlike Malta's other megalithic temples, this one comes with a unique feature, a massive defensive wall, the only one of its kind still standing among these ancient structures. This towering barrier, built from hefty limestone blocks, hints at a time when safety and security became just as important as spirituality. Was this wall meant to protect against invaders, or did it serve another, more symbolic purpose? The answer remains as layered as the stones themselves. What makes Qim Mnajdra even more intriguing is its second life during the Bronze Age. Long after its original builders left, new inhabitants repurposed the site, adding their own touches to the ancient temple. Archaeologists have found evidence of huts and storage pits, suggesting this was more than just a sacred space. It became a living, breathing community. This reuse raises fascinating questions. Did these later settlers understand the temple's original purpose, or did they see it simply as a convenient place to build? Then there are the mysterious cart ruts carved into the bedrock nearby, deep, parallel grooves that crisscross the landscape like ancient tire tracks. Some researchers believe they were used to transport heavy loads, possibly even the temple's own megaliths. Others argue they held ritual significance, guiding processions or marking sacred pathways. Whatever their purpose, these ruts add another layer of mystery to Ġgantija Temples' already puzzling story. And let's not overlook the temple's unusual design. While most Maltese megaliths follow a curved, organic layout, Ġgantija Temples' structure is more angular, almost fortress-like. Could this reflect a shift in beliefs, or was it purely practical? With no written records to guide us, we're left piecing together clues from the stones themselves. One thing's certain, Ġgantija Temples doesn't just defy logic, it challenges everything we thought we knew about Malta's prehistoric past. Now let's journey to one of Malta's most isolated and enigmatic sites, Ħaġar Qim. Tucked away on a windswept cliff overlooking the sea, this collapsed temple doesn't just defy logic, it practically whispers secrets to those who listen. Unlike Malta's more famous megaliths, Ħaġar Qim is a puzzle wrapped in erosion and mystery, with its scattered stones hinting at a structure that may have once tracked the heavens. What sets this site apart is its unusual orientation. While most Maltese temples align with solstices or equinoxes, Ħaġar Qim's layout doesn't match any known celestial pattern, or does it? Some researchers argue its alignment points to long-forgotten stars or lunar events, suggesting it could have been an astronomical observatory. Others dismiss this as wishful thinking, pointing to the temple's ruined state and lack of clear markers. The debate rages on, with every storm-tossed wave eroding more clues. Artifacts found here are scarce but intriguing. A handful of pottery shards and stone tools suggest rituals took place, but their purpose remains unclear. Then there's the temple's dramatic seaside location. Was this a place where ancient worshippers celebrated maritime deities or prayed for safe voyages? The proximity to the water fuels theories about ocean-linked ceremonies, especially since Malta's prehistoric people were skilled seafarers. Could Ħaġar Qim have been a lighthouse of sorts, guiding ships spiritually as well as physically? One thing's certain, this temple's isolation adds to its mystique. Far from Malta's bustling centers, it feels like a place meant for initiates or special rites. Whether it was an observatory, a maritime shrine, or something else entirely, Ħaġar Qim refuses to give up its secrets easily, and that's what makes it unforgettable. Now, shifting our focus to another cryptic marvel, we arrive at Ġgantija Temple, a site that might hold the key to Malta's ancient understanding of the cosmos. Unlike other temples, Ġgantija's claim to fame isn't its grandeur but a single, perplexing artifact, a carved stone slab adorned with what appear to be stars. This fragment, roughly the size of a tablet, has sparked decades of debate. Is it a celestial map, a lunar calendar, or perhaps a sacred symbol lost to time? The star carvings are undeniably deliberate, with precise incisions forming patterns that some researchers argue mirror constellations like Orion or Pleiades. If true, this would suggest Malta's temple builders had advanced astronomical knowledge thousands of years before telescopes. Others propose it's a lunar calendar, tracking phases to guide agricultural or ritual cycles. But skeptics counter that the markings are too ambiguous, possibly representing something entirely different, like a symbolic offering to the gods. What makes this mystery even more tantalizing is the temple's tragic state of preservation. Most of Ġgantija lies in ruins, with only fragments of its original walls remaining. The star slab itself was discovered face down in the dirt, as if deliberately hidden or discarded. Imagine what else might have been lost: carvings, altars, or even more star maps that could have clarified its purpose. The site's poor condition leaves us with more questions than answers, a common theme in Malta's megalithic saga. One theory suggests Ġgantija was a specialized observatory where priests or shamans decoded the heavens. Its location, slightly elevated with a clear view of the horizon, supports this idea. Yet without more evidence, we're left piecing together a puzzle missing half its pieces. Whether it's a star map, a ritual object, or something beyond our current understanding, Tal Caddy's star slab remains one of Malta's most haunting enigmas, a silent whisper from a civilization that gazed at the same night sky we do, but saw it in ways we can only guess. Now, let's turn our attention to a site that's as elusive as it is intriguing: the Ġgantija Temple. Unlike Malta's more prominent megalithic wonders, Ġgantija is a shadow of its former self, with only scattered stones and fragmented walls hinting at its past. Yet what remains has sparked a fascinating theory. Could this have been a place of healing? The temple's scant ruins include unusual features like smooth, rounded basins carved into the rock, which some researchers believe were used to collect water for rituals or medicinal purposes. Local folklore even whispers of a sacred spring nearby, long since vanished, that might have drawn people seeking cures. If true, Ġgantija could have been a Neolithic sanctuary where the sick came to be healed, a concept echoed in later Maltese traditions. Adding to the mystery are the underwater megaliths discovered just off Ġgantija's coast. These submerged stones, some eerily similar to temple blocks, raise questions. Were they part of the original complex, lost to rising sea levels, or do they belong to an entirely separate structure? Some speculate they're remnants of a coastal temple swallowed by the Mediterranean, while others argue they're natural formations. Without further excavation, their connection to Ġgantija remains unresolved. So why has so little of this temple survived? Unlike other sites, Ġgantija sits in a heavily developed area, its stones likely repurposed over centuries for buildings or roads. Erosion from its seaside location may have also played a role, but perhaps the most tantalizing possibility is that Ġgantija was intentionally dismantled, its sacred function fading as beliefs changed. Whatever the reason, this fragmentary site leaves us with a puzzle. Was it a place of physical healing, spiritual renewal, or something we've yet to uncover? As we move forward, the next site on our journey holds its own secrets, a temple with an unusual design that challenges everything we think we know about Malta's megalithic builders. Shifting our focus to a lesser-known but equally fascinating site, let's uncover the secrets of Santa Verna. Tucked away on the island of Gozo, this temple stands out for its unusual 5-apse design, a layout that defies the typical 3 or 4-apse structures seen in Malta's other megalithic sites. Why 5? Some researchers suggest it could represent a sacred number or even mirror celestial patterns, but the truth remains as enigmatic as the temple itself. One of Santa Verna's most puzzling features is a rare stone trough discovered near its entrance. Unlike anything found at other temples, this trough's purpose is hotly debated. Was it used to hold offerings, collect rainwater for rituals, or perhaps even serve as a basin for ceremonial cleansing? The absence of similar artifacts elsewhere only deepens the mystery, leaving us to wonder if Santa Verna held a unique role in Malta's prehistoric spiritual life. Then there's the temple's breathtaking location. Perched on a hilltop, Santa Verna offers sweeping panoramic views of Gozo's countryside and the distant sea. Could this vantage point have been intentional? Some theorists argue that the temple's builders chose this spot not just for practicality, but for its symbolic connection to the heavens or the land's fertility. Others propose that the views themselves were part of rituals, with the landscape acting as a sacred backdrop. Despite its significance, Santa Verna has often been overshadowed by Malta's more famous temples. Yet its unusual design, mysterious trough, and strategic placement make it a crucial piece of the megalithic puzzle. As we move forward, prepare to explore another site where the boundaries between ritual and astronomy blur even further. Now, let's descend into one of Malta's most haunting and mysterious sites, the Hal-Saflieni Hypogeum. This underground labyrinth, often called the Temple of the Dead, is unlike any other megalithic structure on the islands. Carved straight into the limestone over 5,000 years ago, the Hypogeum stretches 3 levels deep with chambers and passageways that feel both sacred and surreal. The most mesmerizing feature here is the so-called oracle chamber, a room with an otherworldly acoustic property. Speak softly into its walls, and your voice resonates in an eerie, almost supernatural echo that fills the entire space. Researchers believe this wasn't just an accident of architecture. Some think the chamber was designed to amplify sound for rituals, possibly to induce trance-like states in participants. Imagine standing in that dimly lit room, surrounded by chanting or drumming, the vibrations altering your perception. Was this an ancient form of auditory manipulation, a way to commune with the dead or the divine? The theories are as captivating as they are unproven. Then there are the elongated skulls discovered in the Hypogeum, which have sparked debates for decades. Some argue these skulls are the result of intentional head binding, a practice seen in other ancient cultures, while others speculate they could point to something far more enigmatic. Could they belong to a distinct group of people, or were they part of a ritualistic tradition? The truth remains buried, much like the Hypogeum itself, which lay hidden for millennia before its accidental discovery in the early 20th century. What's equally puzzling is why this underground complex was sealed off and forgotten. Was it a sacred secret, or did its purpose fade with the people who built it? As we move deeper into Malta's megalithic mysteries, the Hypogeum stands as a chilling reminder of how much we still don't understand about these ancient architects and their beliefs. But the mysteries of the Hypogeum don't end there. Wait until you hear about its deepest and most sacred chamber, often called the Holy of Holies. This innermost sanctuary, carved with striking red ochre spirals, feels like stepping into the heart of an ancient ritual. The swirling patterns aren't just decorative, they're believed to symbolize life, death, and rebirth, possibly serving as a portal to the afterlife in the minds of the people who worshipped here. Some researchers think these spirals mirror those found in Malta's above-ground temples, suggesting a shared spiritual language between the living and the dead. Adding to the intrigue, photography is strictly forbidden in this chamber today, and not just for preservation reasons. The delicate pigments would fade under modern lighting, but there's also speculation that the original builders used flickering torchlight to create moving shadows across the spirals, amplifying their hypnotic effect. Imagine standing there in the glow of flames, the patterns seeming to twist and pulse around you. Was this intentional, a way to deepen the spiritual experience? The answer remains as elusive as the chamber's true purpose. And then there's the biggest question of all: why was this entire complex buried and forgotten for thousands of years? Was it a deliberate act, sealing away sacred knowledge, or did time simply erase its significance? The Hypogeum's Holy of Holies offers no easy answers, only whispers of a belief system so profound it defies our modern understanding. As we move forward, the next megalithic site holds its own puzzles, but none quite as haunting as this underground enigma. Now, let's step out of the shadows of the Hypogeum and into the sunlight, where another puzzle awaits the Miscot tanks. Nestled near the Mnajdra temples, these rock-cut reservoirs are as enigmatic as they are ancient. Carved directly into the limestone, their precise engineering raises eyebrows. How did Neolithic people, or perhaps even later civilizations, manage such flawless water storage systems? The tank's design is a marvel. Each one is carefully shaped to hold water without leaking, with smooth, symmetrical walls that suggest advanced knowledge of stoneworking. Some researchers argue they were built by the same hands that raised Malta's megalithic temples, pointing to their proximity to Mnajdra. Others think they might be the work of later cultures, like the Phoenicians or Romans, who repurposed older sites. The debate hinges on one question: were these tanks meant to serve the temples, or did they have a standalone purpose? Even more intriguing are their possible celestial connections. A handful of scholars propose that the tanks align with specific stars or solstice events, much like the nearby temples. Could they have been part of a larger ritual landscape where water and sky were intertwined in ceremony, or were they purely practical, ensuring survival in Malta's arid summers? The Miscart tanks keep their secrets close, but one thing's certain: they're another piece of Malta's prehistoric jigsaw waiting to be solved. Now, let's shift our gaze from the water mysteries of the Miscart tanks to the ground beneath our feet, where another head-scratching enigma unfolds: the Clapham Junction Cart Ruts. Scattered across Malta's rocky landscape, these strange, parallel grooves crisscross like ancient railway tracks, carving deep into the island's limestone bedrock. Some stretch for hundreds of feet, while others intersect in chaotic patterns, creating a puzzle that has baffled researchers for centuries. Theories about their purpose are as varied as the ruts themselves. One popular idea suggests they were created by heavy sleds or carts dragging massive stone blocks, perhaps for temple construction. Others argue they served as irrigation channels, funneling water across the arid terrain. Then there's the more speculative notion that they were part of an ancient aqueduct system, though no one can quite explain how or why. What's especially curious is how many of these ruts converge near Malta's megalithic temples, hinting at a possible ritual connection. Were they processional pathways guiding worshippers to sacred sites, or do they mark the routes of ceremonial parades long forgotten? Even more intriguing is their precision. Some ruts run perfectly straight over uneven terrain, while others curve with deliberate intent, as if following a hidden blueprint. The depth and wear patterns suggest they were used repeatedly over centuries, yet no one knows by whom or for what. Adding to the mystery, similar ruts appear in other parts of the Mediterranean, but Malta's are by far the most concentrated and complex. Could they be remnants of a lost technology, or simply the wear and tear of daily Neolithic life? For now, the Clapham Junction Cart Ruts remain one of Malta's most persistent riddles, etched into the stone like a message we're still struggling to decode. But while Clapham Junction's ruts steal the spotlight, there's another set of tracks that tell an even stranger story: the Nufara Hill Cart Ruts, tucked away in a quieter corner of Malta. These grooves cut deeper into the rock, some reaching over 2 feet in depth, as if whatever made them carried unimaginable weight. Unlike the sprawling network at Clapham Junction, these ruts follow a more deliberate path, leading directly to ancient quarries where megaliths were likely extracted. This sparks a compelling question: were these tracks the literal highways of the temple builders, used to haul those massive stones to sacred sites? The alignment is uncanny. Several ruts point straight toward the quarries of Ħaġar Qim Mnajdra, as if mapping out a supply route for construction, yet the precision raises eyebrows. How did Neolithic people without wheels or metal tools maneuver multi-ton blocks along these grooves? Some researchers propose they used log rollers or sleds lubricated with water, but the depth of the ruts suggests something heavier, or perhaps more frequent than we've imagined. Adding to the intrigue, archaeologists unearthed a haunting sleeping lady figurine near the site, a clay figure curled as if in eternal slumber. This artifact, tied to Malta's temple culture, hints at rituals or beliefs surrounding the ruts. Were they more than just industrial pathways? Could they have been part of funeral processions, guiding the dead to some spiritual destination? The Nufara Hill Ruts may lack the fame of Clapham Junction, but their secrets run just as deep, literally carved into the island's bones. Now, let's turn our attention to the windswept cliffs of Gozo, where the tar-sank megaliths perch precariously above the Mediterranean. These enigmatic stone structures, often called dolmens, have sparked fierce debate among archaeologists. Some argue they were tombs, their flat capstones marking ancient burials, while others believe they served as shelters or even ritual spaces. But here's the twist: their locations defy practicality. Perched on cliff edges, some seem to teeter on the brink, as if deliberately placed where land meets sky. Theories about their purpose only deepen the mystery. Unlike Malta's grand temples, these dolmens are simpler in design, yet their positioning suggests something symbolic. Were they gateways to the afterlife, their open sides framing the horizon for spiritual journeys? Or did they function as astronomical markers, aligning with celestial events over the sea? Local folklore adds another layer, with tales of stones that vanish at dawn or shift position overnight. Some villagers whisper that the megaliths are guardians, their movements warning of storms or misfortune. One dolmen, known as the disappearing stone, is said to have vanished entirely after a farmer tried to move it, only for it to reappear decades later. Whether myth or misunderstood geology, these stories reflect the awe the Tarxien megaliths inspire. Their rugged isolation and unanswered questions make them a quiet but haunting piece of Malta's prehistoric puzzle, where every stone seems to hold a secret just out of reach. Shifting from the windswept cliffs of Gozo, we descend into the shadows of the Ġgantija Stone Circle, an underground labyrinth that whispers secrets of Malta's prehistoric rituals. This sprawling burial complex, often called the sister site to the Hypogeum, reveals a darker side of Malta's megalithic culture. Here, archaeologists uncovered hundreds of skeletons piled in intricate layers, some arranged in eerie embrace, others curled as if in eternal sleep. But it's the strange markings on the bones that truly baffle experts. Dozens of skulls bear the unmistakable signs of trepanation, a practice where holes were deliberately drilled into the living. Was this primitive brain surgery an attempt to cure ailments or release evil spirits? Or did it serve a grimmer purpose, like initiation rites for temple priests? Then there are the so-called spoon marks, shallow, scooped grooves etched into the bones. Some believe these were ritual defleshing marks, part of a complex burial tradition where the dead were ceremonially cleaned before entering the afterlife. Others suggest they're evidence of cannibalism, though no conclusive proof supports this chilling theory. What ties the Ġgantija circle even closer to the Hypogeum are the artifacts found here, identical figurines of the sleeping lady, along with spiral carvings mirroring those in the underworld temple. This suggests the two sites shared a sacred connection, perhaps as portals between the realms of the living and the dead. Yet one question lingers: why were some skulls carefully preserved as relics while others were left scattered in the dark? The Ġgantija Stone Circle doesn't just defy logic, it forces us to confront the mysteries of life, death, and what lies beneath. Now, let's turn our attention to the Brochtorf Circle, where the past seems to sit frozen in time. Here, archaeologists uncovered something extraordinary, a collection of unique seated figures carved with an almost lifelike stillness. These statues, some no taller than a foot, show figures perched on stools, their hands resting on their knees as if in quiet contemplation. But who or what do they represent? One compelling theory suggests these figures were part of ancestor worship, acting as vessels for the spirits of the dead. Imagine a time when families or communities gathered around these statues, believing they could communicate with those who had passed. The seated posture, so deliberate and serene, might have symbolized wisdom or authority, making them intermediaries between the living and the ancestral realm. Another idea is that these statues depict temple priests or even deities. Their dignified poses and the careful craftsmanship hint at reverence, as if they were meant to embody divine or spiritual leaders. Some researchers point to the statues' oversized heads, a common feature in ancient art, to signify importance as evidence they were more than mere mortals. But the most puzzling detail, many of these statues were found intentionally buried, placed carefully in pits as if laid to rest. Was this a ritual act, a way to retire sacred objects with the same respect given to human remains? Or did it mark the end of an era, a symbolic farewell to old beliefs? The Brochtorf Circle statues don't just sit in silence, they invite us to listen to the whispers of a culture that revered memory, power, and the unseen. Next, we'll step even further back in time, to a cave where bones tell a story far older than the temples themselves. Now, let's journey even deeper into Malta's past, to a place where time seems to collapse: Ġgantija, the Cave of Darkness. This isn't just any cave. Hidden beneath its shadowy chambers lies a bone-strewn floor, a graveyard of creatures that once roamed Malta thousands of years before the first temples were built. Here, the remains of dwarf elephants, hippos, and giant swans tell a story of a lost world, a time when Malta was connected to mainland Europe by land. These animals, isolated on the islands, evolved into smaller versions of their ancestors, a phenomenon known as insular dwarfism, but the real mystery. Some of these bones date to around 5,000 years ago, around the same time the temple builders were erecting their megaliths. Could these early settlers have encountered the last of Malta's dwarf elephants? It's a tantalizing thought. While no direct evidence links the temple builders to these creatures, the overlap in timelines sparks debate. Did they hunt them, worship them, or simply stumble upon their bones, weaving myths around the giants of a forgotten age? Beyond the speculation, Ghar Dalam offers something priceless, a window into Malta's vanished ecosystems. The layers of sediment and fossils reveal how climate change and rising seas transformed the islands, wiping out unique species long before humans left their mark. It's a humbling reminder that Malta's mysteries aren't just about temples, but about the very land they stand on. Next, we'll bridge the gap between prehistory and recorded history at a site where cultures collided, Ġgantija, where Phoenician carvings meet much older stones. Now, shifting our focus from Malta's prehistoric depths to a crossroads of civilizations, we arrive at Ġgantija, a hilltop sanctuary where the ancient world's cultural layers collide. Perched high above the island, this site blurs the line between the megalithic builders and the Phoenicians who followed centuries later. What makes Ġgantija so intriguing? Here, Phoenician-era artifacts mingle with much older stones, sparking debates about whether these later settlers repurposed existing megaliths for their own rituals. Among the finds are carvings of the Eye of Horus, a symbol tied to Egyptian and Phoenician beliefs in protection and divine power. Did the Phoenicians carve these into pre-existing stones, or did they inherit a sacred site already steeped in mystery? The hilltop itself offers clues. Its strategic position suggests it was chosen for both visibility and spiritual significance, much like the earlier temples. Some researchers argue that the Phoenicians, known for absorbing local traditions, may have incorporated older megalithic elements into their worship. Others point to the lack of clear megalithic structures, suggesting Ġgantija was purely a Phoenician creation. Then there's the eye. These carvings, often linked to trade and cultural exchange, hint at Malta's role as a Mediterranean melting pot. Were they meant to ward off evil, or did they serve as a nod to the island's older, unseen forces? The answers remain as layered as the site itself. Up next, we'll peel back even more layers at Tas Silg, where thousands of years of worship left their mark on a single sacred space. Now, stepping into the sands of time at Tas Silg, we uncover a site where history isn't just written in layers, it's practically woven into the stones themselves. Imagine a place where worship never stopped, only transformed, as civilizations rose and fell over 4,000 years. Here, the same sacred ground that once echoed with Neolithic chants later resonated with Phoenician prayers and Roman hymns. What makes Tas Silg extraordinary is its continuity. The original megalithic temple, built by Malta's prehistoric people, wasn't abandoned or forgotten. Instead, the Phoenicians repurposed its massive stones, carving their own symbols alongside ancient spiral motifs. They dedicated the site to Astarte, their goddess of fertility and war, blending older traditions with their beliefs. Then came the Romans, who rededicated it to Juno, leaving behind inscriptions that still puzzle archaeologists today. The reused megaliths tell a silent story. Some blocks bear both Neolithic carvings and Phoenician alterations, as if the stones themselves refused to let go of their past. But the biggest debate swirls around Astarte. Was this a full-fledged cult center, or did her worship simply overlay older rituals? The discovery of votive offerings, tiny statues and amulets suggests her presence loomed large, yet the site's Neolithic roots never fully faded. Even the architecture hints at this cultural tug-of-war. The original temple's curved walls were incorporated into later structures, a physical metaphor for how each civilization built upon what came before. And beneath it all, the unanswered question of why this spot remained sacred across millennia. Was it the view of the sea, the alignment with the stars, or something deeper, lost to time? Next, we'll venture to Borg El Imrama, where legends of levitating stones add another twist to Malta's megalithic enigma. Now, shifting our focus to Borg El Imrama, we encounter a site where myth and reality blur in the most fascinating way. Legends speak of megaliths that once floated into place, defying gravity as if guided by unseen hands. While science may not support levitation, the sheer size and positioning of these stones, some balanced precariously atop others, leave even skeptics scratching their heads. What's equally intriguing are the acoustics of the remaining chambers. Like the Hypogeum, sound behaves strangely here, with whispers echoing in ways that suggest the builders understood something profound about resonance. Some researchers believe these spaces were designed to amplify chants or rituals, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. The similarity to the Hypogeum's oracle chamber raises questions. Was this intentional, or did Malta's temple builders stumble upon a shared acoustic secret? Then there are the carvings, odd, fish-like figures etched into the stone. Unlike the spirals and goddess motifs found elsewhere, these designs are rare in Malta's megalithic art. Could they hint at a connection to the sea, or were they symbols of a forgotten belief? The fish carvings, combined with the temple's coastal proximity, fuel theories about maritime rituals or even a lost fishing cult. Yet Borg El Imrama's greatest mystery remains its collapse. Unlike other temples which were buried or repurposed, this one seems to have shattered, as if some immense force brought it down. Earthquakes, human intervention, or, as the legends whisper, did the stones simply refuse to stay anchored? Whatever the truth, this site proves that Malta's megaliths still have stories to tell if we're willing to listen. Next, we'll piece together the fragments of Kalalija's lost temple, where pitted markings may hold the key to an ancient calendar. Moving from the enigmatic ruins of Borg El Imrama, we now turn our attention to Kalalija's lost temple, a site that exists today only in fragments, yet holds tantalizing clues about Malta's prehistoric past. Unlike other megalithic structures that stand partially intact, Kalalija was nearly wiped from the landscape, leaving behind just a handful of weathered blocks. But these remnants tell a story all their own. The most striking feature of the surviving stones is their pitted markings, small, cup-shaped depressions carved into the surface. Some researchers argue these could be part of an ancient calendar system, tracking lunar cycles or seasonal changes. Similar markings have been found at other European megalithic sites, suggesting a shared language of symbols across vast distances. Were these pits used to hold offerings, or did they serve a more practical purpose, like measuring time? The mystery deepens when you consider how precisely they're spaced, hinting at a sophistication we're only beginning to grasp. But why was Kalalija so thoroughly destroyed while other temples were preserved or repurposed? One theory points to its location, possibly on land coveted for agriculture or later construction. Another suggests deliberate erasure, perhaps by newcomers seeking to dismantle the old beliefs. The most chilling possibility, that the temple was seen as taboo, its stones too charged with forgotten power to leave standing. Whatever the reason, the destruction was systematic, as if someone wanted to ensure nothing remained but whispers. Yet even in its ruin, Kalalija refuses to be silent. Those pitted stones, now scattered or built into farm walls, still whisper of a time when temples dotted Malta's landscape like stars. Next, we'll uncover the hidden megaliths of Haljinwi, where medieval towers guard secrets of an even older world. Now, let's step into the shadows of Haljinwi, where history hides in plain sight. tucked within the walls of a medieval tower, you'll find something unexpected: massive, weathered stones that don't quite belong. These silent giants, embedded like forgotten secrets, raise a tantalizing question. Were they hauled here from a ruined temple, or is this tower standing atop something far older? The stones themselves are unmistakably megalithic, their edges too precise, their size too imposing to be ordinary medieval masonry. Some researchers argue they're recycled blocks from a nearby temple, repurposed by later builders who either didn't understand their significance or saw them as mere raw material. But others counter that the arrangement is too deliberate. Could this have been a standalone sacred site, later swallowed by the tower's construction? The debate hinges on one eerie detail. The stones align in a way that mirrors the curved walls of Malta's oldest temples, as if echoing a design millennia out of place. Then there are the legends. Locals whisper of tunnels winding beneath the tower, some said to lead to long-lost chambers or even other megalithic sites. While no confirmed entrances have been found, the stories persist, fueled by odd echoes in the tower's basement and the occasional hollow sound when tapping the floors. Could these tales be remnants of oral history, preserving a truth buried by time? What makes Ħaġar Qim especially fascinating is its duality, a medieval structure guarding prehistoric bones, a place where two worlds collide. Whether the stones are reused or relics of something older, they remind us that Malta's past is layered, each era leaving its mark on the next. Up next, we'll dive beneath the waves to investigate reports of submerged megaliths off Malta's coast, where the sea itself may be hiding ancient answers. Now, let's plunge into the mysteries lurking beneath Malta's waves. Off the coast of Ġgantija, divers have stumbled upon something extraordinary: rows of massive stones resting on the seabed, their shapes too angular, their arrangement too deliberate to dismiss as mere geology. Could these be the remnants of a megalithic temple swallowed by the Mediterranean, or is nature playing tricks on us? The debate hinges on the stone's peculiar features. Some slabs stretch over 10 feet long, with edges that appear worked by human hands, while others show what might be carvings obscured by centuries of marine growth. Geologists argue that Malta's limestone can fracture into deceptively straight lines, but archaeologists counter that the clusters align in patterns eerily similar to known temple layouts on land. One tantalizing clue: a few stones bear pitted markings resembling those found at Tarxien and Ħaġar Qim, as if echoing a shared ritual language. Then there's the question of timing. Sea levels around Malta rose dramatically around 6,000 years ago, submerging what was once a vast coastal plain. If these stones are man-made, they'd belong to a lost chapter of Malta's temple culture, one built closer to the shore, now preserved only underwater. Local folklore adds fuel to the fire, with old fishermen's tales speaking of a city beneath the waves, glimpsed on calm days when the light hits just right. Yet skepticism remains. Without definitive carvings or artifacts, the submerged stones linger in limbo between natural wonder and archaeological enigma. But whether crafted by humans or shaped by the sea, they remind us that Malta's past might still be hiding in its deepest waters. Next, we'll venture to Zemsëgj's rocky slopes, where forgotten tombs whisper secrets of the island's megalithic elite. Leaving the mysteries of the sea behind, we now turn our attention inland to the quiet slopes of Zemsëgjë, where a cluster of ancient rock-cut tombs sits nearly forgotten by time. Unlike the grand temples we've explored, these tombs are smaller, more intimate spaces, yet they hold clues just as puzzling. Carved directly into the limestone, their most striking feature is the series of bench-like shelves lining the walls, a design unseen in Malta's other burial sites. Were these benches meant to cradle the dead, or did they serve a more symbolic purpose for the living? The tomb's location adds another layer of intrigue. They lie near a so-called megalithic trackway, a path of worn stones that some believe connected sacred sites. This proximity has led to speculation that the tombs belonged to temple priests or elites, their resting places deliberately placed along a spiritual route. But what truly sets these tombs apart are the rare double spiral carvings etched into their walls. These intricate patterns mirror symbols found in the Tarxien Temples, suggesting a shared sacred language across Malta's Neolithic world. Yet for all their uniqueness, the Ġgantija tombs remain understudied. Few artifacts have been recovered, leaving their exact age and purpose open to debate. Could they represent a bridge between Malta's temple building culture and earlier burial traditions? Or were they a local variation, reflecting beliefs unique to this corner of the island? One thing is certain, their quiet presence reminds us that Malta's megalithic story isn't just about towering stones. It's also written in these hidden, human-scale spaces. Next, we'll confront a field of scattered megaliths at Talmejden, where folklore speaks of stones that moan in the night. Now, let's step into the eerie landscape of Talmejden, where a field of scattered megaliths lies in silent disarray. Unlike the carefully placed temples we've seen, these stones appear haphazard, some half-buried, others leaning at odd angles. The locals call them the dead man's stones, a name that hints at their ghostly reputation. According to folklore, these rocks moan and groan under the cover of night, as if whispering secrets from Malta's distant past. But what's the truth behind these unsettling tales? Archaeologists are divided. Some argue these megaliths are the ruins of a temple dismantled by time or human hands. Others believe they were quarried blocks, abandoned before they could be shaped and transported to a sacred site. The mystery deepens when you consider their size. Many match the dimensions of stones used in Malta's known temples. Could this have been a staging ground for builders, or did a natural disaster scatter what was once a carefully constructed sanctuary? Adding to the intrigue are the strange markings found on a few of the stones. Pitted holes and shallow grooves suggest they were worked by human tools, but their purpose remains unclear. Were they part of a ritual or simply the unfinished work of Neolithic stonemasons? The folklore of the moaning stones might seem like superstition, but some researchers wonder if wind passing through the gaps in the rocks could produce the eerie sounds described in local legends. Talmejden doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it invites us to ponder the gaps in our understanding of Malta's megalithic culture. Whether temple ruins or abandoned quarry, these stones remind us that even the fragments left behind hold stories waiting to be heard. Next, we'll uncover the hidden megaliths beneath Mdina's medieval streets, where ancient and modern histories collide. Now, let's peel back the layers of history beneath the so-called silent city of Mdina, where medieval walls hide secrets far older than they appear. This fortress town, perched high on a hill, is known for its quiet streets and Baroque architecture, but beneath its cobblestones lies something extraordinary: evidence of megaliths repurposed by later civilizations. Walk through Mdina's catacombs and you'll spot massive limestone blocks embedded in the walls, their weathered surfaces unmistakably similar to those in Malta's prehistoric temples. Some are carved with patterns that match designs found at sites like Tarxien or Ħaġar Qim, suggesting they were hauled here from a raised sacred site. But why? One theory points to Mdina's legendary status as Malta's first capital, a place of power long before the knights arrived. Could an ancient temple have once stood here, dismantled to make way for new rulers? Local folklore adds fuel to the fire. Stories speak of a lost temple of giants beneath Mdina, its entrance sealed centuries ago. While that might sound like myth, archaeologists have found clusters of megalithic blocks in the city's foundations, some even bearing the same pitted markings seen at Talmejden. The most compelling clue: a section of the medieval bastions incorporates stones arranged in a curve eerily reminiscent of temple apses. Was this deliberate, a way to harness the old site's spiritual energy, or simply pragmatic reuse of handy materials? The mystery deepens when you consider Mdina's strategic position. Built on one of Malta's highest points, it aligns with the Neolithic obsession with elevated, sacred spaces. If a temple did exist here, its destruction would explain the scattered megaliths found in nearby fields. Yet without a full excavation, nearly impossible in a living city, we're left to piece together fragments. Mdina's hidden stones are a bridge between eras, whispering of a time when giants, real or imagined, shaped Malta's landscape. As we conclude our journey through these 30 enigmatic sites, one thing is clear. Each megalith, whether towering or buried, defies simple explanation, inviting us to keep questioning, keep exploring. Which of these mysteries captivated you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history's unsolved puzzles. As we wrap up this journey through Malta's ancient wonders, it's impossible not to be awestruck by the sheer scale of mystery these 30 megalithic sites present. From the towering Ġgantija Temples older than the pyramids to the eerie whispers of the Hypogeum's oracle chamber, each structure defies the limits of what we thought possible for Neolithic builders. The precision of solstice alignments at Mnajdra, the hidden star maps of Tal Kadi, and the submerged stones off Ġgantja's coast, every site leaves us with more questions than answers. These megaliths aren't just relics of the past, they're puzzles that force us to rethink ancient technology and spirituality. How did people 5,000 years ago move 50-ton blocks without wheels or metal tools? Why did they carve spiral motifs across temples and tombs, and what did these symbols mean to them? The more we uncover, the clearer it becomes that Malta's builders possessed knowledge we're only beginning to grasp. So now it's your turn. Which of these enigmas captured your imagination? Was it the astronomical genius of Ħaġar Qim, the haunting acoustics of the Hypogeum, or the legends of giants at Ġgantija? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. If you're as fascinated by these ancient mysteries as we are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. There are plenty more archaeological deep dives coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, history's greatest secrets are still waiting to be uncovered.